Hello, my name is Melissa Fleming and I am the United Nations Undersecretary-General for Global Communications. I am proud to be here for today's launch of the United Nations initiative, Football for the Goals. Football for the Goals will mobilize the global football community around achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, by 2030. It will tap into the power of football to champion the SDGs and also drive behavioral change and sustainable practices in the football industry. It is no coincidence that we're launching the Football for the Goals on the first day of the 2022 UEFA Women's Euro Tournament. Gender equality and women's empowerment is at the heart of the SDGs. We invite all those in the football community to join us. At the UN, we're very pleased to kick off Football for the Goals with UEFA, coming in as our inaugural member. It is my privilege to be joined today by United Nations Deputy Secretary-General Amina Mohammed.
Great to be with you.
And UEFA President Aleksander Čeferin. Nice to see you both.
Hello.
Welcome. My first question goes to you, Deputy Secretary-General. Not everyone in the world of football is familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals. Can you tell us a little bit about what they are and why they're so important for the world?
Thank you, Melissa, and it's great to see you, President, over there for football. Look, Football for the Global Goals, 15 years was what we put in a time frame to try to make promises to over 7 billion people that their lives would be one with dignity, that we would try to eradicate poverty, basic rights to health and education, a good economy, climate change. These were 17 clear promises that were made in 2015. Important because everyone matters, and a big message for them was to leave no one behind. And to now, 8 years on, to get the goals, we feel a sense of urgency. There are many crises around. Still, the framing of the SDGs that matter so much for everyone, women, for children, for youth, is one that we want to pursue. And so those 17 goals are important for us, and this is an amazing opportunity to put that on the map in a place where you touch hearts and minds using the platform of football.
What would the world look like if those 17 goals were implemented?
Well, much more peaceful, that's for sure. And we would not have these extreme climate events where people do not know what is around the corner tomorrow in an extreme flood or desert storm. Many of the natural disasters that we see. We would see more equality. We would see women in leadership, but also equal pay. We would see children that wouldn't have to think outside of a family, but are an integral part with nutrition, with education. So all the basic rights that we would hope that a world would have for its people, and that they would live in harmony with their home, the planet, that's what we would see with 2015. I think it would be fun. We could get on with the business of striving for our aspirations, doing so living without fear, doing so without the thought that around the corner may be another crisis and conflict. So these, I think, would be taken off the radar, would be gone with that fear from so many things, and one where we could look to prospering.
President Čeferin, it is really a privilege again to have UEFA join the UN's Football for the Goals as its inaugural member. We know that UEFA created its own sustainability strategy. It's called Strength Through Unity. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And also, what is your motivation for joining this initiative?
Thank you. First of all, I'm pleased that the United Nations recognizes the powerful voice that football carries in the global community. And of course, the role we can play in raising awareness of the Sustainable Development Goals through the game's popularity, it's huge. And UEFA, as you said, inaugural member of Football for the Goals movement, aspires to take a leading role as an exponent for change in sports by contributing to the promotion of sustainable development, and of course, also introducing more sustainable business and operating models to the football industry, to our industry. And I'm convinced that if football comes together and bundles its power to drive sustainable change, it will be able to have a strong and long-lasting positive impact. And as UEFA, I'm sure we must set the right example towards sustainable change because we inspire others to follow.
That's inspiring, and that unity is indeed exactly what we need. And what is your reaction to what he just said, and how do you think football can inspire people to start implementing these goals in a meaningful way?
It's the one game that will bring the CEO of the wealthiest organization to the poorest person in a village together without thinking about what language or what politics or anything that they have. It just brings you together in a manner that nothing else can. And I think this world is so in need of coming together for dignity, on solidarity, respect. I mean, just the basic elements of our humanity is what we need to see, and football does that in such an amazing way. And so I'm really pleased that we're part of this. These are global goals. We have 17 that we need to kick through the posts by 2030, and I hope that we can do that. Now, in some cases, we're going to have to dribble this a little and find the pathway there. But many of the things that you come to understand about football are also about life. They're also about what is intrinsic to human interaction, that with our environment. You can talk about the football pitch, and if you don't know it well and you don't take care of it, then you're not going to play football very well. But you've also got to talk about the well-being of the people who are part of this. And it goes, beyond just the footballer. It goes to the whole paraphernalia of ensuring that that person can perform. And that's what it's about, is governments and stakeholders and all of what we have in our world. How do we ensure that that one human being gets the dignity and the respect and the rights to thrive, and that's survive and thrive. And that's what I think is great. This is very exciting.
Yeah, indeed. I think we have an incredible tournament in front of us, and bringing, as you said, and as the Deputy Secretary-General just said, people of all walks of life together. It is a sport that is played in refugee camps and on dusty fields with just a ball needed, and I think everybody who is kicking that ball aspires to one day perhaps compete. But how could you see that this tournament could perhaps, how can you integrate the Sustainable Development Goals in the work that you're doing?
Women's football is finally enjoying the attention and popularity it deserves. And I think this Euro will take the women's game to exciting new heights. Record-breaking ticket sales, for example. It will be a fantastic atmosphere. Nine splendid venues, including the opening match in Old Trafford and the final at Wembley, both sold out in a day. 100,000 people at Wembley. Now, speaking from the perspective discussed tonight, we will ensure this will be a fully inclusive event. It will be delivered following the highest standards of event delivery, of course, considering human rights and environmental aspects. And the areas that are in focus include, first, fighting discrimination with a focus on online abuse, which is a big problem these days, providing access to low mobility spectators, ensuring safe and healthy stadiums, and ensuring human rights are respected throughout the procurement value chain. This is also very important and not usual. On the environmental aspect, the focus will be on energy efficiency, waste management, and surplus food. At the same time, UEFA will measure the CO2 emissions of all the event, compensating for unavoidable emissions. So I think it's quite an interesting approach to the tournament.
I think as a woman, that's really inspiring to hear. How about you?
Absolutely. I mean, as you said, women's football has come of its time, and if you can say in an hour that the tickets are gone, that's amazing. But I think what is even more special is that you're really looking at the business model, you're looking at the ecosystem, and everyone's footprint matters, and what are we doing to mitigate the worst parts of that while still enjoying the game and having everyone involved. And I think this is where we start speaking to the green jobs, we start speaking to the transitions that are possible. If you can do it in football, why can you not apply that to so many other businesses? And again, back to the 3 points that you picked up there, and most especially when we talk about food, when we talk about waste, when we really speak to the energy, it's a really important part of what we need to change the way that we do business on.
Excellent. Well, I think we're all really looking forward to this amazing Women's Euro. And thank you so much, President Čeferin. It's really been a true pleasure to speak to you, and of course, as always, to the Deputy Secretary-General Amina Mohammed, who has from the very outset been the leading champion for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you, and all the best. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you very much. Look forward to kicking SDG 5 with you at the women's tournament.
Thank you, and all the best to both of you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.